Guys, I'm back again. Football Heaven 24/7. It's Jamie here. Um, I've done a bit of a episode overkill because basically I've done 3 episodes today. Uh, the last previous two, the first one that I did was a review of the weekend's Championship and League One and League Two action, the start of obviously the EFL season, the weekend that we've just had gone. The second episode I did was basically covering my score predictions for the Premier League and Championship games coming up this weekend on I believe, the 11th, 12th, and 13th. And then also, this episode, I'm going to be covering my Premier League predictions because the Premier League obviously is starting on Friday with Burnley against Manchester City. Now, if you look at my previous episodes, I've already done predictions on all the scores, how I think they're going to turn out. But this prediction I'm doing now, I probably should have done it a few weeks ago, but prediction is basically where I think all the teams will finish in the Premier League this season. Now, obviously, last season Manchester City won the league title. It was their, I believe, fifth title or fourth title in the last 5 seasons. Only Liverpool have broken that pattern, as a lot of people know that watch football regularly. But anyway, we're going to jump straight into it. 3 teams came up from the Championship last season. Luton Town came up. It's their first time up in the top flight since 1992, and it wasn't even known as the Premier League back then. It was just Division 1. Sheffield United are back up after a few seasons away. They got promoted as well, and also promoted as champions from the Championship last season. It was Vincent Kompany's Burnley. So going straight into it, I think there's going to be a few surprises this season. I'm going to launch straight in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the teams I think are going to get relegated this season. I think Luton Town have done fantastic to get back up, but I think they're going to end up going back down again. A lot of the bookies are agreeing they're odds on to go down to get relegated. Sometimes it works again. Sometimes you get 2 out of the 3 or 1 out of the 3 that come up stay up on quite regular, at least 1 out of the 3. But last season, all 3 promoted teams did stay up in Bournemouth, Forest, and I can't remember who was on Fulham. They all stayed up, but I think that was the second time ever in Premier League history that the 3 teams that got promoted have stayed up without one of them going down. So, but anyway, I'm going to jump straight into it. I think Luton Town will go down, and I think they'll finish bottom of the league in 20th. I just don't think they've signed enough players. I don't think they're strong enough or good enough to stay in the league. That's it in a nutshell, really. I can't really see anybody that they're brought in that is going to make that any different too much for them. My second one might be a bit of a shock, as this team did finish, I think, in 14th or 15th last season. But they found goals hard to come by. They got rid of their main playmaker to Saudi Arabian Ruben Neves. I think Wolves are really going to struggle this season. They haven't really brought anybody in decent either. They have got good wingers, but they just don't seem to be scoring enough goals. And I think their manager's getting really frustrated. It's been in the newspaper at the lack of signings and the lack of money that's been given to him to go out and buy new players. So I think Wolverhampton will go down. Wolves will go down after several seasons in the Premier League. So that's going to be my surprise to go down. But I don't think it'd be that much of a surprise considering how much of a poor season they had last season until right near the very end. They, like my team, Forest, were struggling really. Like I say, until they managed to finish it all off towards the end of the season. But anyway, Wolves to go down in 19th. Sheffield United, I think, will take it to the last day, but I think they're still going to go down, and I think they'll finish 18th, even though they've got good home support. I fancy Everton to have a really bad season again, even though Calvert-Lewin's looking decent. If he stays fit, they might finish higher, but I really think they're going to have more problems and more injuries. They've not brought in anybody that's convinced me that they're going to finish any higher than they did last year. I think they'll narrowly escape relegation again, finishing 17th. In 16th, I've gone for West Ham. The reason I've gone for West Ham is they've qualified for the Europa League after winning their first European trophy in 48 years, winning the Europa Conference League, beating Fiorentina last season. But I just feel that West Ham are going to really, really feel it this season. They've not brought in any key players. There's rumours they're after James Ward-Prowse from Southampton, relegated Southampton, but I just don't think they're going to get enough players in. A lot of West Ham fans that I know are getting fed up with Moyes, even though he won that trophy. You've got to remember the Europa Conference League trophy. Okay, yeah, it's an achievement to win the trophy, but they didn't really have anybody difficult to play until they played the final against Fiorentina. So, but yeah, I think they'll still stay up. I'm going to go for that West Ham to finish 16th. Yeah, I can't see them getting much higher than that. Maybe they'll get up to 14th, but I can't see it with any higher than that. In 15th, I've gone for Fulham because Mitrovic looks like he's going over to Saudi Arabia, and he was their top striker last year, even though he got injured. But I think Fulham will just about have enough in the tank to stay up. I think Marco Silva is a very good manager, so I think that definitely um, Fulham will just have enough to stay in the Premier League. So that's 15th for them. In 14th, I've gone for Bournemouth. Bournemouth have brought in a few new players. I think that they're well backed, and I think that they did really well last season in a lot of games. They got the results they needed to stay up, and they were quite impressive in certain periods of the season. Some of the results that they did pick up, and I fancy them to finish in a decent place in 14th this season. In 13th, I've gone for Brentford. The only reason I've gone for Brentford to fall down the league, because they finished 9th last year, is purely down to the fact that Ivan Toney is not in their team until January because he was banned because of doing illegal betting outside of the game. Well, yeah, so he got banned until January. So I think they're going to struggle because of that. They've not really brought anybody in that would suggest to me that they're going to finish in the same place they did last year or higher. So I've gone for them to finish in 13th. In 12th, I've gone for Burnley to do it. I think Burnley are bringing in some shrewd players that have performed really, really well. Okay, they were only playing well in the Championship, but they took the Championship by storm last year. Tailed off a bit towards the end when they knew they'd already won the league, but I think they've done really impressive, and that's going to be my surprise of the season. Burnley to finish 12th, so that's what I've gone for. In 11th, customary, usually they finish in 11th or 12th. I've gone for Crystal Palace to finish in their customary position of 11th. I backed my team massively in 10th. Now, the only reason I've done it is because Forest last season they finished 16th and they only finished 2 points above the relegation zone. Now, people go, oh, he's being biased because he supports Forest, but I saw how many players came into Forest last season. There was 30 players. More than half of those players got injured throughout the season. Steve Cooper, the Forest manager, had to change the lineup several times throughout the season, and he still managed to keep a strong team together, pulling out really good results. Obviously, beating Liverpool and Arsenal 1-0 both at home, drawing with Manchester City at home 1-0, albeit Man City were obviously all over Forest in that game. But he was able to create magical moments, great moments in very, very difficult situation. None of the other teams had to deal with that kind of level of toughness, I believe. And I think that will serve Forest well. We've not bought a lot of players in the transfer window. All they've bought in is apparently Matt Turner's coming in, this reserve keeper for Arsenal. Dean Henderson should still be coming in as the first choice goalkeeper for Manchester United. They've bought in Anthony Elanga, the young left winger from Manchester United, who had a few good little spells last season and the season before. Showed that he was quite pacey and that he could do something. And I think at Forest they'll get that opportunity. So I think that's going to help. Forest keep hold of Brennan Johnson and Morgan Gibbs-White. Taiwo Awoniyi, he scored 6 goals in the last 4 games of the season last year, coming back from injury. So that's given me a lot of promise and hope as a Forest fan. I think if we buy in a couple of decent defenders, get Dean Henderson's deal over the line, I really think Forest are going to push on. We've got really 2 of the fastest wingers in the Premier League now, and a potentially really, really good striker that I think will be good for 15, 20 goals this season in Taiwo Awoniyi. So, yeah, I've gone for Forest to finish 10th. A lot of people might contend with me with it, but I think we've got a really, really good squad now, a really settled squad. As I say, just need to improve that defensive bit at the back a bit more, and that's about it for my liking. But I think a few players will push on in that team, and I think we'll have a really great season. So that's what I've gone for there. In 9th, I've gone for Tottenham to drop even further down the table. I think Harry Kane, even if he does stay, I still don't think it'll be enough. There's rumours he's going to go to Bayern Munich. I don't know if he will. I think he might stay on at Tottenham purely so he can beat the Premier League record. But in his head, he's got to be thinking, I want to win a trophy. I'm one of the best strikers in the world. I'm probably not going to win anything at Tottenham. They don't really have that belief in them to win anything. So I've gone for Tottenham to finish 9th. Brighton, I've gone to finish 8th. I think Brighton will drop off 2 places from them finishing 6th last year, purely because they've got that Europa League competition that they've got to be part of, which is going to take a lot more out of the team. I don't think their team's squad's big enough to deal with that, so I feel they will drop down a couple of places because of those extra games that they've got to play in midweek. Aston Villa, they have got the extra games in midweek as well, playing in the Europa Conference League, but I think that they're well managed now. They've brought in some brilliant signings in Moussa Diaby, a really fast winger, probably going to be one of the fastest wingers in the Premier League this season. They've also bought in Pau Torres, and they've also bought in many other good players as well. And Philogene Bidance, who was on loan to Cardiff City, has been looking really, really impressive in their American tour, pre-season tour, where they were playing other Premier League teams. He's been playing really well on the left wing. So I think Villa are going to have another great season and finish 7th. Newcastle, I think, are going to drop down from finishing amazingly at 4th last year because of their Champions League that they've got to play in for the first time in 20 years. I think they're really going to struggle as well a little bit. But I still think they're going to have a decent season, finish 6th. And I fancy Newcastle to at least get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. I think they've got a great squad and a really good manager, but I do think they'll drop off a little bit. But anyway, yeah, I think it would be another great season. But I'm going to say, surprisingly, Chelsea had a really poor season last season. They finished 10th in the league, but I think that Chelsea are going to pick it back up again, mainly because they haven't got all those extra European games like the other teams I've previously mentioned. I think Chelsea will finish in 5th, so they'll end up in a Europa League place. Actually, I think 5th place in the Premier League will be qualifying. They'll have to play a qualifier to get into the Champions League, but I think you qualify for the Champions League if you finish 5th this season. So that's that. Manchester United, I think they're going to drop from 3rd down to 4th, but still qualify obviously for Champions League. They did win the League Cup last year, as a lot of people know, but I think there's going to be a bit of a drop off for Manchester United there. So I'm going to go 4th in that one. And I'm going to go for a surprising 3rd. Many people are going to think I'm a bit crazy. Last year's treble winners were absolutely amazing. Manchester City. They won the league. They won the Champions League for the first time ever, and they won the FA Cup. First time a treble's ever been done since 1999 when Manchester United did it. They're a bit of rivals. It's never been done by any other teams apart from those two in the whole of English football history. So congratulations to Man City. But I think they're going to tail off, even though they've brought in a few new players. I feel, and they've got the best striker in the world in their team at the moment, in Haaland. I just think there's going to be a bit of a tail off, and there's going to be two teams, I think, that are going to push forward and do something really amazing. Two teams that have brought a lot of young players in their early 20s into the squad. Manchester City's team is a bit aging, and I think there is going to be that drop off. So I have gone Man City to finish 3rd now. In 2nd, it was a tough choice for me, but I think Liverpool are going to have a really, really good season. They had a not so great season last season, finishing 5th. They're playing in the Europa League, but I think that Liverpool, they brought in Darwin Núñez, who's going to be the out-and-out striker, I believe, this season. Cody Gakpo came in, and they brought this other player I can't announce, who played for RB Leipzig, who's going to be really, really good. He scored a lot of goals and assists for RB Leipzig in the German league. So I feel Liverpool are going to have a really, really good season. In fact, it was a touch and go to decide between Liverpool and Arsenal. A lot of people are predicting Manchester City, but I just don't think they're going to keep on sustaining it. And I think this will probably be Pep Guardiola's last season in charge of Manchester City. You heard it here first. It might sound crazy, but I'm going to go for Pep to have his last season. I think they're going to finish 3rd. I think he's achieved all he had to achieve with Manchester City. He's by far probably one of the best managers we've seen in the Premier League, bar Alex Ferguson. Anyway, but I'm going to go for Liverpool to finish 2nd anyway. That's my opinion. I think Darwin Núñez is going to score a lot of goals. I think he's going to be fighting it out with Haaland for top goal scorer this season, Darwin Núñez. You heard it here first. I'm going for Liverpool to finish 2nd. Arsenal, I think, will then win the league. They came so close last season. They did really, really well, but I think the experience of last season will really help Arsenal, who have got the youngest squad in the Premier League, to go forward. Obviously, they've signed Declan Rice for 105 million. Kai Havertz is another young player from Chelsea. Didn't do too well at Chelsea last year, but I think that they're going to all come on really well. I think those two additions are really going to help Arsenal to push forward. And yeah, that's my prediction. Arsenal to win the Premier League title. Might sound crazy. Everyone's going to say Man City's got the experience. They've already won everything. They've had a great season last season. But I think there's going to be a drop-off, and I'm going to go for Arsenal to win the league. So those are my predictions. Might sound mental to some people. Like and subscribe if you like the content that I've done. If you don't, that's up to you as well. But yeah, just let all your friends and family know about us, and we'll get them to like and subscribe. But I think there's going to be some shocks this season, and I think Arsenal are going to win that first title for the first time since 2004, which ultimately will be the first time that they've won a title in 20 years if they do win it. So those are my predictions. Whoever you support, as I always say, I hope they have a good result for you at the weekend coming up. All the best. Bye for now.